everyone. I'm Monique with the Center for Biblical Unity. I have received quite a few messages asking what is Be the Bridge Facebook group? What is their curriculum about? What do I think about it? Some people have written in saying they've been damaged by this group and have been left feeling sad or even rejected, turned away. And so I decided to put together this video because I have known about Be the Bridge group for a few years. They've been around probably for maybe 6, probably 7 years. And I used to actually be a big proponent of Be the Bridge, especially when I considered myself woke and was in the social justice movement. So what is Be the Bridge? Be the Bridge is a group started by a woman named Latasha Morrison. I don't know her. I've never met her. But she has a heart for racial unity and racial reconciliation. And so she wrote a book called Be the Bridge. And along with that book, she has curriculum for group study for people to go through. Her groups are called Bridge Builders. And so they get together along with the Facebook group and do exercises and really talk about and work out things that would prohibit or prevent racial unity from occurring. People get to tell stories, their experience with racial unity or with racism, and it's just a time of healing for them and a time of lament more than anything, I would say, from what I understand about the group. So what is up with some people have been hurt or left traumatized and feel marginalized by this group? So some of the components of the group I don't really agree with, even though I think Latasha's heart is in the right place. I think there are pieces of the methodology that hold critical race theory components. And yes, this is me harping on critical race theory again, but there's the idea of now almost turning the script on or flipping the script on whites to make them feel like what it is to be marginalized or to have their voice silenced. So Be the Bridge has come out with 16 tips for white people. And I am not going to go through all of them. I'm just going to go through a few because there are 16 and that would take forever. And not all of them are bad. I think some of them can be equally applied. It doesn't matter what your ethnicity is. So we're going to go through them. So the first one says, don't expect people of color to be your only source of education about race. Black, Indigenous, and people of color get exhausted explaining the same ideas over and over again every time a white person joins the conversation. Read a book instead. Watch a documentary, Google terms and ideas. If you must hit up your friend of color for insight, at least buy them dinner and really listen to what they have to say. I actually don't know that I disagree with this. I don't think that and I'll speak for myself, as being a woman of color, like I want to answer every question on every topic that has to do with people of color. I don't. Like she's right, it becomes exhausting. But I also don't think that every doctor wants to answer medical questions or every podiatrist wants to answer like what that fungus is under your toenail. That's nasty, by the way. You can get that taken care of. But by and large, people, even if they are experts in something, don't want to be bombarded with those questions all the time. Now, when it comes to race, yes, it is easy, I think, for people to say, oh, well, she knows about this or he knows about that because they are that. They experience that. So let's just find out what that's like. I think she has some points to say, you know what? It's okay to ask the question, but do some other research too. And don't put it all on your friend to answer all of these questions. The second one, don't take up too much space in the conversation. This one I have a little bit more problem with. Let me actually read what it says at the bottom. It says, yes, this is hard for verbal processors. Maybe I'm a verbal processor. We know you have important things to say, but white people's ideas and stories are prioritized everywhere else. Take the opportunity to sit quietly and elevate voices of people of color. Okay. At the bottom line, what is she saying? She's saying that when you go to the movies, it's mainly white. When you look on TV, it's mainly white, according to what she sees. I'm not saying that I agree with that 100%, but I can say that, yes, there's a lot of white compared to other people of color on TV, in my opinion. And so what she's saying is when you get into a space, don't think that you need to tell all of your experiences. Don't think that you need to take up all of the space. I don't know that I agree with that. I feel like even if TV is filled with a certain racial demographic or movies are filled with a certain racial demographic, when you're coming together with brothers and sisters, it's not about taking up space, but about living in unity among each other. And so when I'm with white brothers and sisters, or I'm with Native American brothers and sisters, or Latino brothers and sisters, we are all coming onto an equal playing field. We're all on a level ground and sharing our experiences and our thoughts and who we are as people, not considering one group of people to be taking up space. The third one, don't compare your experience of oppression or suffering with a person of color's experience with oppression or suffering. Although you might see similarities between your circumstances, resist the urge to interpret a Black, Indigenous, or person of color's experience through your limited lens. Your suffering is real, and it might help you feel more connected to or empathetic toward your friend of color. But your experiences are not the same. Continue to listen and seek to understand. I don't know that I'm really there with that. I feel like we all have unique experiences. And just because I'm a person of color does not mean that I'm going to have the same experience as another person of color. Just because we're people of color doesn't mean that we all experience the same things. My experiences may be more like a Caucasian person than the person who sits next to me that has the exact same color skin that I do. I hear what she's saying about, don't just jump to this, oh, well, that also happened to me, so now we're the same. But there is something that can be said about experience and similar experiences and empathy and heartbreak and understanding that pain is real and pain is something that is universal. So just because you're white and I'm Black, I don't necessarily know that that means that I can't empathize or that someone else can empathize with my experience. I also think that this is something that we find, again, in critical race theory that says more of, you can't understand my experience. This is my truth. My lived experience is what should be believed, and no one should have any right to challenge that or to speak adversely or to speak a narrative that is different than what I am saying my lived experience is. The fourth one, don't white-splain. Do not explain racism to a person of color. Do not explain how the microaggression they just experienced was actually just someone being nice. Do not explain how a particular injustice is more about class than race. It is an easy trap to fall into, but you can avoid it by maintaining a posture of active listening. Again, this to me says that my lived experience is what is true, and no one can challenge that. I also have an issue with microaggressions in general. I think microaggressions can really speak to the motive of someone's heart, and we don't know the motive of someone's heart. I said on one of the All the Things podcasts is that, two people can be walking into a building and someone let the door slip. He could be thinking about his girlfriend or his car accident or bills that need to be paid and not paying attention. But in today's culture, we can automatically deem that a microaggression and assert a motive to someone's heart. I think that's dangerous. As Christians, we're supposed to be believing the best about people and not just asserting ill motive at that, to their hearts. The next one, don't make the conversation about you. Again, this could be called C point number 2. Don't take up too much space in the conversation. Again, it's about where you find yourself seated in the conversation. One of the biggest things that I see, if I were to boil down all 16 of these tips, it's about decentering whiteness. Now, one of the first things that I asked myself when I realized, this is really what they're getting to, is that white people need to decenter whiteness. I wonder what the Lord asks us to decenter. Because one, you have to ascribe to the belief of whiteness, white supremacy, white privilege, white fragility, that white people always are wanting to be in the center. I don't believe that to be something that we speak over our white brothers and sisters. One. Two, there are many things that I think scripturally, we need to decenter. We should decenter our pride. We should decenter our right to be right, which comes with pride. We can center humility. But to ask someone to decenter their whiteness, to not speak, to affirm someone's experience without proof, I don't know that these are the things that actually lead to racial unity, or if they're the things that lead to more damage just to a different group of people. I don't believe that I can recommend the Be the Bridge Facebook group. I wouldn't recommend the Be the Bridge book. And now, honestly, I am still working my way through the book, but as of right now, I wouldn't recommend it simply because it doesn't treat everyone equally. The group does not treat everyone equally. It doesn't value everyone's thoughts equally. And this is right there on their, page when you join. No, you can't speak for 3 months. And that's open and fair to everyone. Whoever joins the group cannot speak for the first 3 months. They can't post, they can't comment, anything like that. They can like or love one of, a post or whatever, and that's fine. And you're encouraged to do that. And you're encouraged to read the post. However, at any time, a person of color can say, this post is only for people of color. All white people have to be quiet. When I think about how God treats us and our thoughts, he invites us in to be a part. He doesn't say, oh, you wear that skin, or, oh, you've had that experience, so I don't want to hear from you. And I get it. I get that there's a goal to help people understand the experience of people of color. I just don't agree that that's the way that we do it. I don't agree that we push some people to the side or push them to the back because we may have been pushed to the back. I don't believe that we return a wrong for a wrong just so that somebody else can feel what it feels like. Okay, now skipping to number 9. Don't demand proof of a person of color's lived experience or try to counter their narrative with the experience of another person of color. The experiences and opinions of people of color are diverse as its people. We can believe their stories. But keep in mind, just because one person of color doesn't feel oppressed, that doesn't mean systemic or institutional racism is not real. I agree that just because one person may not feel oppressed does not necessarily mean that systemic or institutional racism isn't real. The danger with this, though, is that it is in saying that we should believe all people's claims of their lived experience at all times. I take issue with this the same way I take issue with the Me Too movement at times, where it's that I just have to believe whatever is put before me. So technically, I could be standing in Target next to someone who's white and cry racism. Well, if I'm supposed to be believed because I'm a person of color, what if I'm lying? Where is the proof? Biblically, it says that all matters should be proven by 2 or 3 witnesses. How do we navigate that conversation in light of what's being put forth in number 9? I say that there has to be some proof somewhere. And that doesn't mean that we automatically accuse someone of lying. We believe the best about our brothers and sisters. And so we can walk through their story, their narrative with them. But to just say, you know what, point blank, I have to believe people of color because they're people of color, I don't agree with that. I think that we need to hold to the biblical principle of witnesses. And lastly, I'm going to go to number 14. Now, number 14 is being read from the position of a white person. Don't forget, racism is our problem. Our people created and sustained it, and now it's our job to dismantle it. Only by the grace and mercy of God are people of color willing to walk this road with us toward racial healing and reconciliation. Honor that reality and how you treat those with whom you want to build bridges. Racism is not only a white person's problem. There's been racism or colorism, isms in general from the beginning of time. There has been slavery from the beginning of people, pretty much. when we say that, when we put all the burden of racism on white people, we eliminate the sin from people of color. People of color have participated in racism. People of color have participated in all kind of egregious sins. And we can't say that this specific ism is peculiar or particular to white people only. I wonder how that flows in the group. And I wonder, like, if I was white, I would wonder, how does this work? How do I build a bridge when all of the weight is on me? How do I stand up to go across the room to shake the hand of someone else when all of the shame is on me? This isn't the way of Jesus Christ. This isn't the way that he tells us to connect with one another. He calls us brothers and sisters, and there's no shame in our relationship because he takes that shame, he takes that weight and that guilt. So, is racism a problem that's been perpetuated by whites? Yes. But is racism also a problem that's been perpetuated by people of color? Yes. Whose problem is racism? Everyone's. I don't believe that we can start to build bridges until we truly acknowledge the truth. And not the truth according to how we think we see it, but the truth according to how scripture tells us. I also have a vision for unity. I started the Center for Biblical Unity earlier this year with the vision of equipping pastors and lay people on how to have biblical conversations on race and unity. Do we have issues within the states regarding race and unity? Are we struggling to get there? Definitely. But can we get there? Yes. How do we do that? We do that by valuing others, by understanding that we are all created in his image and we all have dignity, value, and worth. That my voice and the voice of someone who may be a different color than me can come to the table in agreement. That our unity is first found in Christ, and it is a unity of mind, a unity of spirit, that in his work and in his prayer for us to be one, he has made us one. And now we need to grow in our understanding of how to work that out practically in our fallen and broken state. But is it possible? Definitely. If you would like more information on how to partner with the Center for Biblical Unity, visit our website at thecenterforbiblicalunity.com or find us on Facebook at the Center for Biblical Unity. Partner with us on Patreon, and I will see you next time.
Every voice